Wonder how many of you are going to be able to tell what order I do these videos in just because of the sunlight in the background. The sun is waking up, and we are doing Houston now. Houston Dynamo, I think they have a lot of potential this year. I know they lost some key players. Obviously, Brad Davis has been with them for quite a while, and he's gone now. So who's going to fill that role? How's their defense going to look? We're going to discuss that right now. Alright, starting at the back as always is Tyler DERIC. Had a pretty decent year last year. He had some pretty unfortunate goals that I can remember watching happen on him, but he's had some stellar, amazing saves. $5.5 million, pretty decent goalie. Honestly, I wouldn't have a problem having him. He's not my goalie. I have one other one that I think's a little better, but not a bad option at all. We'll say that. Moving to their center backs. Last year, I think they rotated a little bit. HORST was obviously pretty solid for them last year, but this year I don't think he's going to be starting. Rodriguez, on the other hand, he was with them last year. He played when he was healthy. I think he went down once or twice. Scored 2 goals, pretty decent. But he's a good option, I think. At $8 million, I think Houston's defense is pretty solid, honestly. They have a pretty deep bench when it comes to defense. They made a couple of transactions, one being, of course, an ex-Union player that I didn't like, so good with me. But, yeah, so you got HORST at 7.5. You got Rodriguez at 8. Oh, wait, no HORST. Sorry, I didn't say that. Don't take HORST. Don't do it. The other guy they have listed on this paper anyway is a guy named AUGUSTIN. Oh, they call him Agus. His real name is Augustin GARCIA. That's tricky. I just got to look like a fool. He's $7 million, and this list I'm looking at on goals.com or goal.com is having him in the other starting spot. It might be one of those things where they're rotating and trying to figure out who their best pairing is. So HORST might still be an option, but I would definitely be cautious at the beginning of the season here. You want to pick up players that you know are starting, and there are plenty of them out there. Don't take a risk that you don't need to take. That would just be silly and expensive and costly and all that stuff. So a guy to go with, I would say, if you want a center back, I think Rodriguez is definitely a lock. So if you want a Houston one, go for him. On your outsides, you got Beasley. I mean, he's getting older, but he doesn't seem like it. I mean, he's still playing for the national team, doing a great job. I think he's playing better for the national team now than he ever has before out at his defensive role. I like him a lot. I'm avoiding wingers and outside backs, so I'm not going to have him on my team. He has $7 million. That's not too bad for a defender, especially for a pretty solid defense. Played a lot last year. Did he have any assists? Let's find out. We're going to look. He had 1. Okay, that's not that great. But he does get up in the attack. He is very quick. He can get back, no problem. He doesn't tend to draw or get a whole lot of fouls. So, yeah, there's an option. Still, wouldn't take him. The other guy they have on the outside, on the right side, is SHEANON Williams. Ex-Union player, and I'm glad. When he first came to the Union, he was great. He worked his butt off every game. He's got that monster throw that's super threatening when you start getting close to goal. But in the last couple of years, he's looked lazy. Maybe being on a new team is what he needed. Maybe it'll kick his butt and kind of get him in gear again, making him work for his spot. But in Philadelphia, it kind of felt like he knew he had it and he didn't have to work hard. I don't know what the deal was, but he just kind of declined, and I really hope for his sake that this is his year where he just breaks out and does better. I would avoid him. It doesn't mean you have to. He's $7 million, same as Beasley. I think if you want either of them, I would go with Beasley. I mean, yeah, he has the potential to get an assist on a throw-in, but it probably won't happen. And he can get a little hot-headed little bit of a temper when he gets pushed around. So the potential for cards there, I think, is a little. You have a little more chance with that with Williams than you do with Beasley. Puppy, a puppy. Don't you like them? Don't you like Houston? Or don't you like Sheenan? That must be it. Yeah, well, that's okay. I don't either. Alright, moving to their center back. I mean, I say that all the time. I always get my terms mixed up. Our defensive mids. We have Ricardo Clark, who I saw missed a humongous PK in a preseason game this year. It was super embarrassing. Like, he just went so far over. He did the little stutter step, and it just launched it like it was a field goal or something in football. So Clark is $7 million. A defensive role. He gets up in the attack. He does. He's not a bad option at all. Brad Davis is gone. Leaves more room for PK taking, stuff like that. Not a terrible option. Hopefully he can do better than he did in preseason. But he's pretty good price, I think. He's a decent deal. I think there's better ones that the Houston Dynamo have. Do you need down? I'm going to put her down, and now she's going to cry even more because her mommy is still not up yet. Sleeping in because she deserves it. Then on the other side of Clark, it looks like a guy named ROCHA. ROCHA. There's a lot of ways you could probably say his name, and I'm probably saying it wrong. But it doesn't look like he was with the MLS last year. He had 0 points, so yeah, obviously not. He's $7 million, same as Clark. I always say it's risky picking up a guy that you don't know anything about. If you do research and you know where he's from and you like him a lot, go for it. But it's just too risky to pick up guys that don't have a past in the MLS. So moving on, we're going to the forward area, the attacking roles. MAIDANA. Now there's a name that I missed. MAIDANA's great. I like him a lot. When he was playing with the Union and got chances to start, for some reason, there was a while, I think it was last year, maybe it was the year before that he just wasn't playing, and I didn't understand it because he was by far the bright spot of the Union last year. Assists like crazy, free kicks were great. I have him on my team. I think he's a humongous bargain. He had 15 assists last year. Come on. Brad Davis is gone. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the free kick taker. He's going to rack up assists, especially with the forwards that Houston has. There's just so much potential. $9 million. I think he's a must-have. Talking more about the forward situation, we'll go to the left wing with Giles Barnes. We all know Giles Barnes. He's decent. He shows flashes of brilliance. He reminds me a little bit of Cam Newton. Sort of a little bit full of himself, and when things don't go his way, he gets kind of pouty. He scored 7 times last year. It's not bad, but I think he could have a bounce back year. I mean, playing on the wing is going to be a little bit harder for him to get up front and score a lot of goals, but he's a good player. Then on the right side on this list anyway, which I don't know if I'm agreeing with, they actually have Wanger from the Union last year. He's actually in the midfielder section. He's not listed as a forward. He's $7 million. There was so much hype about him last year. I bet a lot of you went out and got him, and he disappointed like crazy. He just played like crap. Being on a different team, could that change? Don't know. He's no longer where he grew up. Like, he grew up in Pennsylvania, actually not too far from where I live. And yeah, I don't honestly see him being a consistent starter. I think they might that might be the one position where they kind of try some other people. I don't know that for sure. I'm kind of just making it up. Puppy found a toy. good news. So I would definitely avoid Wenger, at least until he starts doing something. If he gets hot this year, jump on the bandwagon, grab him. He's cheap. I mean, midfielder at $7 million that's playing a little more forward could be great. You just don't know. You don't know how he's going to gel with Houston. I have no idea. And then up top, obviously, we got the big bear, Will BRUIN. Has had ups and downs in the MLS. Last year was actually pretty good. Okay, so over his last 4 years, 2015, 11 goals, 2014, 10 goals, 2013, 10 goals, 2012, 16 goals. So it looks like that was his rookie campaign, and maybe, I'm not sure. It was in the MLS anyway, and it looks like that was his best season by a long shot. So the potential for him to score goals is still there. Maidana is great at service. I think he'll have a lot of options. He's not a bad option. $9 million. I think there's some forwards that are better, but you have to pay more. I think Giles Barnes, BRUIN, Maidana, all these guys are going to be pretty good. And honestly, if I was Houston, rather than playing Wenger, I think I would somehow figure out a way to get TORRES in there. I mean, he didn't really play much last year. Not exactly sure what was going on with that. I know there were some things with the team that he was with and some logistical problems, but I think if Houston finds a way to get Will BRUIN, Barnes, TORRES, and Maidana in their attacking front, they are going to be scoring goals like crazy. I don't know TORRES and BRUIN kind of play the same position, kind of the target guy up front, but if they can figure out a way to do that, they're going to the playoffs. Let's be honest. They're going to be scoring goals like crazy, and they have a pretty decent defense, good enough to get by. So, having said that, that is the Houston Dynamo. So, in review, top 3 guys, Maidana, to me, a must. I think you have to have him for the price he is. He's going to be doing just as well as any of the $10 and $11 million midfielders and forwards and stuff like that. Maybe not the forwards, but second, I would say probably Will BRUIN. I like him a lot. And then I'm going to be different from my other videos, or some of them. I actually go with Rodriguez for the 3rd pick. I think he's a big dude. He's kind of skinny. He's not super like buff or anything, but he's got his starting spot for sure. And at least until he stays, or until he gets injured, God forbid, I think he's a good option. I think he'll get a lot of clearances and such. So that is the Houston Dynamo.